Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story, everyone. Stop, don't touch her. Sofia Ramirez's firm voice echoed through the mansion's hallway. The young maid appeared at the bedroom door and froze for a second at the scene unfolding before her eyes. In the middle of the room, little Mia Thompson, only 5 years old, trembled while holding on to a worn teddy bear, her eyes full of tears and her breathing broken by sobs. In front of her, Cassandra Reed, the stepmother, was raising her hand to close the door, as if she wanted to lock the child inside. "You'll stay here until you learn not to defy me. Do you hear?" Cassandra's voice was full of anger. Sofia took a few steps forward, instinctively placing herself between Mia and Cassandra. "That's enough." She raised her arms, shielding the girl with her own body. "That's not how you treat a child." Cassandra widened her eyes, surprised at the boldness of the newly hired maid. Then she gave a cynical smile. "Well, what a scene," she said mockingly. "Who do you think you are, interfering with how I raise my stepdaughter?" Sofia didn't back down. She felt Mia's tiny hands clutching the edge of her apron and quickly bent down to hug the girl, giving her a sense of safety. "I may not be important here," she answered firmly, "but I know cowardice when I see it." The air grew tense. Cassandra stepped closer, ready to argue when the bedroom door opened. James Thompson appeared in the doorway. His expression was stern, but his eyes showed a trace of confusion. "What's going on here?" Cassandra spoke first, turning dramatically toward him. "Thank God you're here," she exclaimed, placing her hand on her chest as if she had just faced a big scare. "This maid barged into the room and frightened Mia. I was trying to calm her when she came in acting crazy." Sofia stood up, still keeping Mia behind her, and tried to explain, "That's not true. I heard shouting and found Cassandra trying to lock the girl inside the room." "Outrageous lie!" Cassandra interrupted, her eyes flashing with anger. "You're just trying to slander me so you look like a good Samaritan." James looked at both of them, taking in their words carefully. For a moment, his eyes lingered on Mia, still hiding behind Sofia's legs, clinging to her as if she were her only protection. But before responding, he let out a deep breath and spoke in a controlled tone. "Enough. I don't want any more scenes in my house." Cassandra gave a satisfied look, believing she had won the argument. Sofia, however, stood tall and kept holding the child's hand. James ran his hand through his hair, as if trying to organize his thoughts. "Sofia, take Mia to the garden. She needs to calm down." Sofia hesitated but obeyed. She took Mia's little hand and led her out, casting one last steady glance at Cassandra, who smiled arrogantly. As they went down the stairs, Mia tugged gently at Sofia's apron. "Don't leave me alone with her," she whispered, her eyes filled with tears. Sofia held her hand tighter. "I won't leave you, princess. I promise." From the top of the stairs, Cassandra watched with her arms crossed and a cold smile on her lips. And James, still standing at the bedroom door, kept his brow furrowed, torn between trusting Cassandra and the unsettling feeling that something was very wrong in the way Mia clung to that young maid she barely knew. In the mansion's back garden, Sofia sat on a stone bench beside Mia, who was still clutching her teddy bear tightly. The peaceful setting was a sharp contrast to the tension they had left behind. "It's all right now, princess," Sofia murmured, stroking the girl's blonde hair. "Out here, it's just you and me." Mia lifted her tearful eyes and whispered, "Why is Cassandra so mean to me?" Sofia sighed, choosing her words carefully. "Sometimes people become bitter when they can't find happiness. But that's not your fault, okay? She seems like an evil witch from a fairy tale," said Mia, making a face that drew a smile from Sofia. "An evil witch without a magic wand and with way too much Botox," Sofia whispered playfully, making Mia giggle softly. Suddenly, the sound of high heels on the stone floor announced Cassandra's approach. She appeared on the back porch, arms crossed with a look of pure disdain. "What a touching scene," she said, stepping down with a superior air. The little maid playing child psychologist, Sofia stood up slowly, keeping Mia behind her. "I'm just doing my job, Mrs. Reed. Your job is to clean the house, not fill the girl's head with nonsense." Cassandra stepped closer, and certainly not to speak badly of me to her. "I don't need to speak badly of you. Your actions speak for themselves." Cassandra narrowed her eyes. "Watch that sharp tongue. Maids like you are easily replaced." Sofia gave an ironic smile. "That must be why you've gone through so many maids this year. Or maybe they just realize that working here is like taking care of 2 children instead of 1. Mia let out a little giggle, covering her mouth with her tiny hands. Cassandra turned red with anger. How dare you? Dare what? Tell the truth. Sophia feigned innocence. Sorry, I forgot that in this house the truth is a luxury not everyone can afford. You're fired. Cassandra shouted. You can't fire me. Sophia replied calmly. Mr. Thompson is the one who hired me, and as far as I know, he's still the owner of this house. At that moment, Mia stepped out from behind Sophia, and looking straight at Cassandra, said clearly, You're a wicked witch. The silence that followed was broken by Sophia's laughter, which she couldn't hold back. Cassandra was left speechless, clearly not expecting a 5-year-old to confront her that way. Mia Thompson, Cassandra managed to stammer, You cannot speak to me like that. Why not? Mia crossed her little arms, unconsciously imitating Sophia's posture. Sophia said we should always tell the truth. Sophia crouched down and whispered in Mia's ear, How about we go have a snack? I think I smell pancakes. Pancakes? Mia's eyes lit up for the first time that day. The two of them headed to the kitchen, leaving Cassandra standing in the garden, trembling with rage and still processing what had just happened. In the kitchen, Sophia opened the fridge and started taking out ingredients. Do you know how to make pancakes? Mia asked, sitting on the high stool. I make the best pancakes in Texas. Sophia tied on the apron, but I'll need your help to make them perfect. Really? Mia clapped her hands. What can I do? You can be my official assistant chef. First, let's crack these eggs. Sophia placed 2 eggs in front of Mia and patiently showed her how to break them without making too much of a mess. When a small piece of shell fell into the bowl, Sophia made an exaggerated face. Oops, looks like this egg was wearing a helmet. Mia laughed so hard, she almost fell off the stool. Sophia, you're funny, and you're the best assistant chef I've ever had. Now, let's make something special. Sophia took a spoon and began drawing shapes in the pancake batter as they cooked in the pan. The first came out like a crooked heart. The second looked more like a squashed star. How about a teddy bear? Sophia suggested, trying to shape the next pancake like Mia's favorite toy. That looks more like an elephant with a headache, Mia said, laughing. Hey, Sophia pretended to be offended. I'm an unappreciated artist. As they laughed and made stranger and stranger pancake shapes, Sophia noticed something magical happening. Mia's smile was genuine. Her eyes sparkled with joy, and she chattered excitedly about everything that came to her mind. Sophia, can you teach me how to draw? Mia asked, her face covered in batter up to her ears. Of course. How about we make a notebook just for us? A secret book of drawings and silly recipes. Secret, Mia whispered, thrilled. Secret? Sophia confirmed with a wink. No one else can see it. It will be our special treasure. Not even the Wicked Witch. Especially not the Wicked Witch, Sophia laughed. Witches only know about potions and ugly spells. They wouldn't understand our art. They spent the rest of the afternoon creating their special notebook. Sophia drew simple things that Mia could copy. Flowers, butterflies, little houses with triangle roofs. Mia, in turn, made her own versions, always more colorful and imaginative. Look, Sophia. Mia showed a drawing of 2 figures holding hands. That's us in the garden. Sophia felt her heart tighten with emotion. It's beautiful, princess. You have so much talent. Can I draw you making funny pancakes? You can, and I'll draw you being the best assistant chef in the world. Outside the kitchen, hidden behind the door, Cassandra was watching with an increasingly dark expression. She saw Mia smile and laugh in a way she hadn't since her mother's death months earlier. The bond between the maid and the child was growing stronger by the minute, and it disturbed her deeply. Having fun, little one? Cassandra entered the kitchen with a forced smile. Mia immediately stopped laughing and shrank back onto the little stool. Sophia instinctively stepped between the two of them. We were just making a snack, Sophia said diplomatically. What a mess, Cassandra remarked, eyeing the animal-shaped pancakes scattered across the table. James doesn't like disorder in the kitchen. I was just about to finish cleaning up. Sophia began picking things up, but Mia tugged on her sleeve. Can Sophia have dinner with us today? Mia asked timidly. Of course not, Cassandra answered coldly. Maids eat in the kitchen. That's how things work here. Sophia saw the disappointment on Mia's face and felt a stab of anger. But she kept her composure. It's all right, princess. I'll eat here and save a special pancake for you tomorrow. How about that? Mia nodded, but her eyes had lost some of their sparkle-oofry. When Cassandra left the kitchen, taking Mia with her, Sophia went on cleaning and thinking about what had happened that afternoon. The little girl had completely changed in her company, and she knew she had found something special in that child who so badly needed affection. From upstairs, Cassandra stood by the window, watching Sophia cross the garden toward the staff quarters. Her hands clenched into fists as a dark idea began to take shape in her mind. That maid was becoming a bigger problem than she had imagined, and problems needed to be eliminated. Sophia, on the other hand, climbed to her room with a lighter heart than she had felt in a long time. For the first time since arriving at the mansion, she truly felt she belonged there, not because of the work, but because of a 5-year-old girl who had called her a friend and made her feel needed in that house. The next morning, Sophia went down to the kitchen humming softly, still smiling from the afternoon before. The day seemed promising. After the bond she had formed with Mia, she prepared the family's breakfast and was setting the table when Cassandra appeared in the dining room, impeccably dressed, her expression unreadable to Sophia. "Good morning, Mrs. Reed." Sophia greeted politely, placing the cup of coffee in front of her. Cassandra murmured, never taking her eyes off Sophia as she served. "I hope you slept well in the staff quarters." "I slept wonderfully, thank you. The bed is very comfortable for someone without a guilty conscience." Cassandra narrowed her eyes, but was interrupted by James, who entered the room already in his flawless suit, checking messages on his phone. "Good morning," he said absent-mindedly, sitting down at the table. "Good morning, Daddy." Mia came running down the stairs, her hair still tousled from sleep, and threw herself into her father's lap. James smiled genuinely for the first time Sophia had ever seen, and she felt a strange pang in her chest watching the scene. "Good morning, Princess. Did you sleep well?" "I did, and I dreamed of pancakes that could fly." Mia laughed, looking over at Sophia, who winked conspiratorially at her. "Flying pancakes?" James raised an eyebrow, amused. "That must have been a very sweet dream." "Sophia said that happy pancakes learn how to fly," Mia explained seriously, making Sophia choke on her own laughter. "Sophia said that?" James looked at the maid with curiosity. "Well, Sophia began, but Cassandra cut her off. "Mia, dear, go have your breakfast in the kitchen. The adults need to talk." "But I want to stay with Daddy," Mia pouted. "Go on, Princess." James kissed her forehead. "We'll play later." Mia left reluctantly, not without waving to Sophia first. As soon as the little girl disappeared, Cassandra rose from the table with a dramatic expression. "James, I need to talk to you about something very serious." Sophia kept arranging the table, pretending not to listen, though all her senses were on alert. "What is it?" James asked, sipping his coffee. "It's about," Cassandra paused theatrically, "your mother's crystal vase." Sophia froze. "What crystal vase? What about it?" James frowned. "Well," Cassandra sighed heavily, "I didn't want to upset you. But last night, when I went to check that everything was in order in the living room, I found it broken on the floor." Sophia turned abruptly. "What do you mean broken? I cleaned that room yesterday, and it was perfectly fine." "Of course. You'll deny it." Cassandra feigned sadness, but the evidence speaks for itself. James stood up, his expression serious. "Show me this vase." The three of them walked to the living room. On the floor, right under the table where the crystal vase usually sat, shards were scattered, and Sophia's eyes widened. Some of the pieces still had house dust stuck to them. "This is a setup," Sophia burst out. "I didn't break any vase, Sophia." Cassandra said in a condescending tone, "I know it must be hard to admit a mistake, but accidents happen. What matters is taking responsibility." "Responsibility?" Sophia let out a bitter laugh. "The only responsibility I see here is yours for staging this poorly done act. How dare you accuse me?" Cassandra placed a hand on her chest, pretending to be offended. "Oh, it's very simple." Sophia crossed her arms. "First, because I cleaned this room yesterday at 5:00 the afternoon, and the vase was perfectly fine. Second, because there's cleaning powder stuck to the shards, which means someone broke a clean vase on purpose. And third, she pointed to the floor, because this person was so clever, they forgot to sweep up the powder that fell when the vase broke." James looked at the floor, and indeed, there was a small pile of cleaning powder right next to the shards. That must have fallen while she was cleaning," Cassandra stammered. "Of course," Sophia laughed ironically, "because I'm the kind of person who cleans vases on the inside, too, right? If the vase was that expensive, it should have come with a bulletproof vest against clumsy stepmothers." "Sophia," Cassandra's face turned red. "How dare you?" I dare because it's as clear as day that you staged this whole situation. What I don't understand is why." James remained silent, watching the two women closely. His eyes moved from the shards on the floor to the cleaning powder, then to their expressions. "Maybe," Sophia continued with a sly smile, "you broke the vase by accident, and now you're trying to blame me. It happens in the best of families, especially when someone wears 6-inch heels and can't walk straight." "I don't wear 6-inch heels," Cassandra protested automatically, then realized she had taken the bait. "Oh, don't you?" Sophia pretended to be surprised. "I thought it was just compensation for something. Height, maybe." James coughed, hiding what might have been a laugh. "Enough," he said at last. "Someone broke the vase. What matters now is cleaning up this mess." "But James," Cassandra insisted, "aren't you going to fire her? She destroyed a family heirloom." "I didn't destroy anything," Sophia shot back. "And if you want me fired so badly, why don't you just admit it's because you can't stand seeing Mia happy? That's ridiculous. Ridiculous is an adult being jealous of a maid because a child likes her," Sophia said firmly. "But relax. This isn't a competition. You are never a match anyway." Cassandra was left speechless for a moment, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "James," she finally managed to say, "are you going to let her speak to me like this?" James ran a hand through his hair, visibly tired. "Sophia, please clean this up. Cassandra, come with me. We need to talk." Sophia bent down to pick up the shards, but couldn't resist one last remark. "I hope the talk is about acting lessons because that performance really needs work." Cassandra stormed out of the room, followed by James, who gave Sophia an unreadable look before leaving. Left alone in the room, Sophia began gathering the crystal pieces, muttering under her breath, breaking a vase and blaming someone else. How original. Bet she learned that from a soap opera. Suddenly, she felt a presence behind her and turned. It was Mia, who had appeared silently. "Sophia, are you sad?" "No, princess. I'm just cleaning up the mess someone made." "Did the evil witch break the vase?" Mia asked innocently. Sophia smiled. "What do you think?" "I think she did," Mia whispered. "She always breaks things, even people's feelings." Sophia stopped picking up the shards and looked at the girl, impressed by the wisdom of a 5-year-old. "You know something, Mia. You're smarter than a lot of adults out there. That's because I pay attention." Mia sat on the floor beside her. "My mom said we should always pay attention to real people." Sophia felt her heart tighten. For the first time, she fully understood why she was fighting so hard to stay in that house. It wasn't just a job. It was a mission. "Your mother was a very wise woman," she said softly. "You're like her," Mia smiled. "She protected people, too." From the hallway, raised voices could be heard. James and Cassandra were arguing, and although Sophia couldn't make out the words, the tone made it clear the conversation wasn't going the way Cassandra expected. "Come on, princess." Sophia held out her hand to Mia. "How about we go make some pancakes that don't fly? I need something solid after so much fantasy around here." Mia giggled and took her hand, and the two of them headed to the kitchen, leaving behind the shards of the vase and the pieces of Cassandra's poorly planned scheme. The next morning, James came down for breakfast, looking more relaxed than Sophia had seen him in days. Mia ran to him as she always did, but this time she was holding something different in her hands. "Daddy, look." She waved a colorful drawing. "Sophia taught me how to draw bicycles." James took the paper and studied the drawing. It was clearly the work of a 5-year-old, but there was something special about the way Mia had captured the joy of movement. "It's very pretty, princess. You have a talent for art." Sophia said, "I can learn to ride a real bike." Mia hopped with excitement. "Can I, Daddy, please?" Sophia, who was serving breakfast, tried to intervene discreetly. "Mia, your father must be busy today." "Actually," James interrupted, surprising everyone, "I was thinking about taking you to the park today. It's been a long time since we've done that." Mia's eyes lit up with excitement. "Really? Can we bring Sophia too?" "She promised to teach me." James hesitated for a moment, glancing at Sophia, who was clearly embarrassed by the situation. "Mr. Thompson, I can stay here." "No." Mia ran over and grabbed Sophia's hand. "You promised. And a promise is a promise." James watched the obvious bond between his daughter and the maid. After the vase incident the day before, he had been reflecting on many things. "All right," he finally said. "You can come, Sophia. Mia needs someone who knows about bicycles." Sophia tried to hide the smile that insisted on appearing. If it's necessary, it is necessary," Mia shouted, jumping with joy. "We're all going like a family." An awkward silence hung in the air for a few seconds. Sophia lowered her eyes, and James cleared his throat nervously. From the top of the stairs, Cassandra watched the scene with a dark expression. An hour later, the three of them were at the local park. James had brought Mia's pink bicycle in the trunk, still with the training wheels she had never used. Sophia carried a small backpack with water and some snacks, feeling strangely like part of that little family group. "Where do we start, teacher?" James asked with a half-smile. "First," Sophia replied, placing her hands on her hips in a dramatic pose. "We need to check if the bike has any loose parts that might fly off. You never know when a bicycle might decide to turn into a little airplane." Mia laughed heartily. "Things don't really fly, Sophia." "Oh no?" Sophia pretended to be completely surprised. "Then why does my hair fly when the wind blows?" "Because you don't tie it back, right?" Mia burst out laughing, running around the bicycle. James watched the exchange with fascination. It had been months since he had seen Mia so carefree and happy. "All right, little pilot." Sophia adjusted the helmet on Mia's head. "The first rule is, if you fall, I'll fall down too," very dramatically. "So you won't feel alone." "You would really do that?" Mia asked, her eyes wide. "Of course." "And I'll shout, 'Oh, my knee,' really loud so everyone will think I got hurt too." "Sophia, you're crazy." Mia laughed so hard she almost lost her balance. Sophia held the bike firmly, while Mia climbed on. "Now the second rule. Pedal slowly, like a turtle in a hurry." "Turtles don't hurry," James commented, stepping closer. "This one does." Sophia winked. "It's a special turtle that's in a rush to get home before the soap opera starts." Mia laughed again, and even James let out a genuine laugh. "Ready?" Sophia asked, beginning to push the bike gently. "Ready," Mia shouted, pedaling with determination. Sophia ran beside the bike, holding the seat and talking non-stop. "That's it. You're doing great. Look at you. You're already faster than a racing snail." "Faster than a snail," Mia laughed while pedaling. "Much faster. You're almost as fast as an athletic snail." James followed behind, watching how Sophia managed to make his daughter feel both brave and playful at the same time. There was something special in the way she treated Mia, never with condescension, but with all the affection in the world. After a few laps, Sophia gradually let go of the bike, running beside her without Mia realizing she was already pedaling on her own. "Sophia! Sophia!" Mia suddenly shouted. "I'm doing it." "You're flying, princess!" Sophia shouted back, running alongside with her arms outstretched as if she were flying too. That was when it happened. Overcome with joy, Mia cried out, "Look, Mommy, I did it." The silence that followed was filled with emotion. Sophia stopped running abruptly, her eyes filling with tears. Mia also stopped, realizing what she had just said. "I'm sorry," she whispered, getting off the bike. "I didn't mean to." Sophia knelt down in front of the little girl and hugged her tightly. "You don't have to apologize, princess. You gave me the most beautiful gift in the world." "Really?" Mia asked, her eyes shining. "Really. Thank you for letting me be your heart, Mommy. At least for today." James watched the scene from a distance, something stirring in his chest that he couldn't name. For the first time in months, he saw his daughter completely happy and safe in someone's arms. And for the first time since his wife's death, he felt there might be hope that his family could be happy again. A genuine smile spread across his face. The first in a long time. "Daddy." Mia ran toward him. "Did you see? I rode the bike all by myself." "I did, princess." He lifted her into his arms. "I'm very proud of you." "Sophia is the best teacher in the world," Mia declared, waving at Sophia, who was still kneeling on the grass, discreetly wiping her eyes. "Looks like she is," James agreed, looking at Sophia with a new expression in his eyes. Sophia stood and came closer, still a little embarrassed by the moment. She got the hang of it so quickly. "Mia is a very brave girl. She takes after her mother," James said softly, and Sophia noticed there was no sadness in his voice. Only tenderness for the memory. "Can I ride a little more?" Mia asked. "Of course, princess, but slowly." "All right." While Mia pedaled in circles around the park, Sophia and James sat on a nearby bench. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable, but full of unspoken things. "Thank you," James said at last. "For what?" "For making my daughter smile again. I hadn't seen her like this in months." Sophia didn't know how to respond, so they just sat there watching Mia play with a genuine happiness that seemed to spread to everyone around her. On the other side of the park, behind a large tree, Cassandra watched the whole scene with clenched fists and a face twisted with anger. She saw James smiling for the first time in months, saw Mia treating the maid as if she were her mother, and felt every moment like a stab in her plans. When she heard Mia call Sophia mommy, she nearly screamed in frustration. When she saw James looking at Sophia with admiration, her blood boiled, and when she witnessed the three of them laughing together like a perfect family, she knew she had to act quickly and decisively. She turned her back on the park and walked toward the car, her mind already working on a new plan. This time, there would be no room for mistakes. Sofia Ramirez had to be out of their lives, and she knew exactly how to make it happen. In the park, unaware of the storm that was brewing, James, Sophia, and Mia kept enjoying the happiest day they'd had in a long time. In the days that followed the outing at the park, the atmosphere in the Thompson mansion had subtly changed. James seemed more present at meals, Mia hummed through the hallways, and even Sophia found herself whistling while cleaning the house. It was as if a ray of sunlight had finally broken through the windows of that home. But not everyone was enjoying this new harmony. Cassandra watched every interaction between James, Sophia, and Mia with growing irritation. The scene in the park had been the last straw. Seeing James truly smile for the first time in months, seeing Mia call that maid mommy, was more than she could bear. On Tuesday morning, while Sophia played with Mia in the garden and James worked in his office, Cassandra set her plan in motion. She waited until Sophia went upstairs to arrange the bedrooms, then walked quietly into James's office. "Darling," she said, knocking softly on the door, "I need to talk to you about something urgent." James looked up from the documents he was reviewing. "What is it, Cassandra? I'm a bit busy here." "That's exactly what it's about." She approached his desk. "Did you leave some important contracts here last night?" "Yes, I did. The merger contracts with the Seattle company." "Why?" Cassandra put on a worried expression. "Well, they're not here anymore." James frowned and looked at the desk, then at the drawers. "What do you mean they're not here?" "I left them right here on top of the desk last night." "I know, dear. I saw when you left the office yesterday evening. But this morning," she paused dramatically, "there's no sign of them." James began shuffling through the papers on the desk, then opened drawers, searching frantically. "This doesn't make any sense. Those documents are extremely confidential. They're worth millions." "James," Cassandra said cautiously, "I need to tell you something, but I don't want you to think badly of me for bringing it up." "What is it?" "Last night, when I went downstairs to get a glass of water, I saw Sophia leaving this office." James stopped searching and looked directly at her. "Sophia was in my office? Are you sure?" "Absolutely. She seemed nervous when she saw me. She said she was just checking if everything was in order for today's cleaning." But Cassandra let the sentence hang in the air. "But what, James? I don't want to accuse anyone unfairly, but she seemed very interested in your safe. She spent quite some time looking at it." James's blood ran cold. That safe held not only money, but extremely important company documents, passwords, access codes. "Are you sure about what you're saying, Cassandra?" "I am. And there's one more thing." She hesitated theatrically. "I spoke with Margaret, the neighbor. She mentioned she saw Sophia talking to a strange man at the entrance of the property the day before yesterday. It may be nothing," but James stood up abruptly. "Call Sophia here now." Cassandra left the office with a disguised smile on her lips. A few minutes later, Sophia appeared at the door, still wearing her apron stained with garden soil. "You wanted to see me, sir." "Sit down, Sophia." Something in James's tone made Sophia realize there was trouble. She sat in the chair across from his desk, her hands clasped in her lap. "Sophia, some very important documents are missing from my office." "Missing?" she asked, genuinely surprised. "What kind of documents?" "Confidential contracts that were on this desk last night. Cassandra said she saw you leaving this office yesterday." Sophia's eyes widened. "I didn't come into this office last night, Mr. Thompson. Not last night, not ever, except to clean when you're present." "Sophia," James said seriously, "this is a very serious accusation. Those documents are extremely valuable. I understand how serious this is, but I swear on my mother's memory that I never touched any document." Sophia stood up, visibly shaken. "Do you really believe I would steal anything from this house?" "I don't know what to believe anymore," James admitted, running a hand through his hair. "But the facts are, the documents are gone. And you were seen in my office." "By who?" "By Cassandra." Sophia couldn't hide the sarcastic tone. "What a surprise. The same person who accused me of breaking a vase she herself broke now claims to see me in places I've never been." "Sophia, if you took those documents, Mr. Thompson, Sophia interrupted, her voice trembling with emotion. I've only been working here for 2 weeks, but in these 2 weeks, I've given my heart and soul to taking care of your daughter and your home. If you truly believe I'm capable of stealing, then there's nothing more to say. She headed for the door, but James called her back. Sophia, wait. Wait for what? To hear more accusations based on the word of someone who clearly dislikes me. If you didn't take the documents, then where are they? I don't know, Mr. Thompson, but I'm certain it wasn't me who removed them. James studied Sophia's face. There was genuine hurt in her eyes, but also a wounded dignity that made him hesitate. Sophia, I need to consider all possibilities. Please understand my position. I understand perfectly, and you should understand mine. She took a deep breath. If you want to fire me, that's fine. But I won't stay here being accused of crimes I didn't commit. At that moment, the office door burst open, and Mia came running in, carrying paper and colored pencils. Daddy, Sophia, I made a new drawing for you. She stopped when she sensed the tension in the room. Why are you sad? James and Sophia exchanged uneasy looks. Sophia crouched down to the girl's level. We're not sad, Princess. Just talking about grown-up things. Can I show you my drawing? Of course you can, Sophia said. Though her voice trembled a little, Mia held out the paper. It was a typical child's drawing, but what it showed was unmistakable. A tall figure with dark hair yelling at a small figure who was crying. In the corner of the paper, there was a third, smaller figure with light hair who seemed to be protecting the crying child. Who are these people, Mia? James asked gently. That's me. Mia pointed to the small, crying figure. That's the evil witch yelling at me. She pointed to the tall figure. And that's Sophia protecting me. James looked closer at the drawing. The figure representing Cassandra had very specific features. Long hair, high heels, and a clearly angry expression. When did this happen, Princess? Last night, Mia said naturally. The evil witch was yelling at me because I spilled juice on the table. But Sophia came and told her to stop. Sophia and James exchanged glances. James realized that if Sophia had been protecting Mia in the garden or in the kitchen the night before, it would have been nearly impossible for her to be in his office at the same time. Mia, James said carefully, where were you when this happened? In the kitchen. I was having dinner. James remembered that he had eaten out the night before. Cassandra had told him Sophia was in his office. But if Mia had been in the kitchen with her, what time was that, Princess? After the cartoon ended on TV, Mia answered, The cartoon ends at 8:30. Right. Sophia? Sophia nodded, still confused about where this conversation was leading. James felt a twinge of suspicion growing in his chest, but this time it wasn't directed at Sophia. Mia, can you go play outside while Sophia and I finish talking? Can I stay? I like it when you two talk. You both seem happy after. Not today, Princess. But I'll call you in a little while. All right. Mia left reluctantly, but not before giving Sophia a hug and whispering, Don't be sad, Sophia. I'll protect you, too. Once they were alone again, James kept staring at the drawing. Sophia, if you were in the kitchen with Mia at 8:30 last night, you can check with Mia as many times as you want, Sophia said firmly. We were having dinner together. In fact, I can even show you the dishes I washed. Mia spilled grape juice on the tablecloth. It should still be soaking in the laundry room. James stood up and walked to the window. His mind was processing conflicting information. Why would Cassandra lie about seeing you in my office? That's a question you should ask her, not me, Sophia replied. But I can offer a suggestion, maybe because she's wanted to fire me since the very first day I arrived here. James turned and looked directly at Sophia. Why would she want to fire you? Sophia hesitated, then decided to be completely honest. Because Mia likes me, and that bothers her. James was silent for a long moment. Then, as if making a decision, he began searching systematically through all the drawers of his desk. Mr. Thompson, what are you doing? Looking for those documents, he answered. Opening the bottom right drawer, if someone hid them here in the office, he stopped abruptly. There were the contracts, carefully folded and placed under a pile of other papers in a drawer he rarely used. Sophia stepped closer and saw the documents. Are those the ones? James picked up the papers and examined them. They were intact, but definitely not where he had left them. Sophia, he said slowly, I owe you an apology. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Someone deliberately put these documents here and made me believe you had stolen them. Sophia felt a mix of relief and sadness. May I ask you something, Mr. Thompson? Of course. Did you really believe, even for a moment, that I could steal something from this house. James looked into her eyes and saw the genuine hurt his accusations had caused. For a moment, yes, and I deeply regret it. Sophia nodded, but James could tell something had changed between them. The natural trust that had started to build had been shaken. Sophia, how can I make this right? She gave a sad smile. Not firing me without solid proof would be a good start. You have my word. At that moment, a knock on the door interrupted them. It was Cassandra. James, how did the conversation go? Did you two find out where the documents are? James looked at Cassandra with an expression she couldn't quite read. Yes, we did. They were in my drawer the whole time. In your drawer? Cassandra feigned surprise. How strange. Hadn't you already looked there? I had, James said slowly, but they weren't there last night when I looked the first time. A tense silence hung in the air. Sophia watched the exchange of glances between James and Cassandra, realizing that something important was happening. Well, Cassandra finally said, the important thing is that they've been found. We should celebrate that it wasn't anything serious. Yes, James agreed, but his tone was cold. We really should celebrate that it wasn't anything serious. Sophia understood the game had completely changed. James was beginning to see Cassandra in a different light, and she knew this was only the beginning of a deeper investigation he would carry out on his own. After the document incident, James couldn't stop thinking. For the rest of the morning, he quietly observed the interactions in his house with new eyes. There were details he had been ignoring, signs that now seemed obvious. Around noon, he decided to leave the office early. He wanted to spend more time with Mia, and he admitted to himself, to observe more closely the dynamics among the people living under his roof. When he arrived home, he heard raised voices coming from the living room. He immediately recognized Cassandra's shrill voice and crying. Mia was crying. James moved quietly down the hallway and stopped before entering, wanting to understand what was happening. How many times do I have to repeat myself? Cassandra's voice was full of impatience. You can't keep leaving your little toys all over the house. This isn't a daycare. I was just playing. Mia's small voice was trembling. I didn't make a mess. Of course you did. Look at this room. Dolls on the sofa, crayons on the floor, drawings spread out on the table. James frowned. That morning, before leaving, he had seen Mia playing calmly in the room, and she always took good care of her toys. Mia, Cassandra went on, her tone growing harder, you're becoming too spoiled. Your mother raised you with no limits. But with me, things are going to be different. Don't talk about my mom, Mia shouted for the first time. The sound of a slap echoed through the room, followed by louder crying. James felt his blood boil. He started toward the room, but stopped when he heard Sophia's voice. Stop right now. Sophia had come into the room like a storm. James saw her immediately step between Cassandra and Mia, lifting the little girl into her arms. How dare you hit her? Sophia was visibly furious. I didn't hit her. Cassandra lied shamelessly. I just touched her face to get her attention. Oh, so now a slap is a touch on the face. Sophia shot back sarcastically. What a creative vocabulary. I bet when you trip, you call it interpretive dance. You have no right to interfere with her education. Education? Sophia let out a bitter laugh. This is education. Yelling at a 5-year-old because she was playing in her own house? James watched, fascinated, as Sophia defended his daughter with the fierceness of a lioness. Sophia, you're overreacting. Cassandra tried to sound reasonable. Mia needs to learn discipline. Discipline is not the same as cruelty, Sophia replied, rocking Mia gently. And it definitely doesn't include hitting children. I didn't hit her. Of course not. And I'm the Queen of England. Sophia rolled her eyes. In fact, if I really were the Queen, you'd already be deported to a place far away from here. Mia let out a giggle through her tears, which made Sophia smile. There, Princess, you're better now. Want to tell me what happened? I was drawing at the table. Mia sobbed. And Cassandra said I was making a mess, but I wasn't. I always put my toys away. I know you do, Princess. You're the most organized little girl I know. Mia is lying, Cassandra insisted. The room was a mess. Sophia looked around. There were a few crayons on the table, an open notebook, and a doll on the sofa. Nothing anyone sensible would call a mess. Cassandra, Sophia said, with exaggerated patience. If this is a mess to you, I suggest you never set foot in a toy store. You might have a heart attack. Stop being sarcastic with me. I'm not being sarcastic. Sophia pretended complete innocence. I'm being educational. It's different. Sarcasm would be me saying that your definition of mess is as exaggerated as your fashion sense. James had to hide a laugh. Sophia had a unique way of diffusing tense situations with humor. You've crossed the line, Cassandra shouted. I've crossed the line? Sophia raised an eyebrow. You slapped a 5-year-old. But I'm the one crossing the line? Wow, I really need to recalibrate my moral compass. At that moment, James decided to step in. He walked firmly into the room, and everyone turned toward him. What is going on here? The silence that followed was heavy with tension. Cassandra was the first to speak. James, thank goodness you're here. Sophia has been extremely disrespectful to me. Disrespectful? Sophia couldn't hold back. I was protecting Mia after she hit her. I know, James said automatically, but realized at once from Sophia's look that he had made a mistake. How do you know? Sophia asked calmly. Were you here? James hesitated. Technically, he had heard everything, but admitting it meant confessing he had been listening from the hall. Daddy, Mia whispered. Still in Sophia's arms, she hit my cheek and said bad things about Mommy. James looked at his daughter's face and saw a red mark on her left cheek. His world froze. Cassandra, he said in a low voice. Did you hit my daughter? James, it was nothing serious, just a necessary correction. You hit my daughter? James shouted, completely losing his composure. Sophia automatically stepped back, pulling Mia with her. Realizing the situation was escalating quickly, James, calm down. Cassandra tried to touch his arm, but he pulled away. Don't touch me and don't tell me to calm down when you hurt my daughter. I didn't hurt her. It was just a slap. James finished, he said. I heard it. I heard everything. Cassandra's face went pale. You were listening. I was. And I heard you yelling at her, speaking badly about her mother. And yes, hitting her. James moved closer to Sophia and Mia, holding out his arms to take his daughter. Princess, are you all right? Mia nodded, but didn't let go of Sophia's neck. Sophia protected me, Daddy, just like she always does. James looked at Sophia, who was clearly embarrassed by the situation. Sophia, he said softly, I owe you more than an apology. Mr. Thompson, James, he corrected her. Please call me James, and I need to ask your forgiveness for not believing you from the start. Sophia shook her head. You, James, don't need to explain yourself to me. I understand it's complicated when you don't witness things yourself. But I should have realized, I should have seen how happy Mia is with you and how tense she gets around. He glanced toward Cassandra. Certain other people. Mia lifted her head from Sophia's shoulder and looked at her father. Daddy, can Sophia stay with us forever? The innocent question created an awkward silence. Sophia blushed. James was speechless. And Cassandra looked visibly irritated. Mia, Sophia said gently, I work here. I'm already with you. No. Mia shook her head. I want you to live with us like a real family. James felt something stir in his chest. Looking at Sophia holding his daughter so tenderly, seeing how safe and loved Mia felt in her arms, he realized he wanted her to stay, too, not just as an employee, but he cut the thought off before it could finish. Mia, Sophia is already part of our family, he said carefully. Isn't that right, Sophia? Sophia looked into his eyes and saw something she couldn't quite interpret. There was gratitude there, but also something deeper. Yes, she answered softly. I won't abandon you. I promise. Do you really promise? Mia asked, holding out her pinky finger. Sophia hooked her pinky with the girl's. I promise. James watched the scene with a mix of emotions he couldn't name. Guilt for doubting Sophia. Admiration for how she protected his daughter. And something else. Something that made his heart beat faster when she smiled. Cassandra, who had stayed silent during the entire emotional exchange, finally exploded. This is ridiculous. She's a maid. She can't be part of the family. The three of them turned toward her, and James realized he had completely forgotten she was even there. Cassandra, he said coldly, I think we'd better talk in private. Fine, she answered, still furious. We have a lot to discuss. When Cassandra left the room, Sophia gently set Mia down. How about we go make a snack, Princess? I think someone here deserves some special pancakes after all this mess. Heart-shaped ones? Mia asked. Already more cheerful. Heart-shaped ones, Sophia confirmed, and the two headed for the kitchen. James stayed alone in the room for a moment, processing everything that had happened. For the first time since his wife's death, he felt his house could become a home again, and he knew exactly who was making that possible. After the tense talk with Cassandra in his office, James came downstairs to find Sophia and Mia in the kitchen. The aroma of pancakes filled the air, mixed with the sound of their laughter. He paused at the door for a moment, watching the scene. Sophia was wearing an apron, flour on her cheeks, trying to flip a pancake in the air. Mia clapped her hands from her stool, cheering that the pancake wouldn't fall on the floor. 3, 2, 1. Sophia tossed the pancake up. The pancake flipped, spun in the air, and landed right on Sophia's head. "Sophia!" Mia shouted, laughing so hard she almost fell off the stool. "Oops," Sophia said, taking the pancake off her head as if it were the most natural thing. "Looks like this one decided to be a hat instead of a snack." James couldn't hold back the laughter that burst out of him. Both turned toward him. "Daddy," Mia waved excitedly. "Sophia is trying to make acrobatic pancakes." "I can see that," James smiled. "And how are the pancakes performing?" "Pretty rebellious," Sophia said, shaking her hair to get rid of the bits of batter. "This one clearly didn't read the instruction manual on how to behave like a proper pancake. Maybe it wants to be a circus artist," Mia suggested. "Ah, that's it." Sophia tapped her forehead theatrically. "A pancake with dreams. I should have noticed from the ingredients. It looked like it wanted to fly." James walked closer, still smiling. "Can I help with these rebellious pancakes?" "You can," Sophia replied. "But I should warn you, they have quite a questionable attitude today. I don't think they respect business hierarchy." "I'll try using my CEO authority," James said, picking up one of the ready pancakes. "Miss Pancake, you're fired for insubordination." Mia burst out laughing. "Daddy, you can't fire food." "Why not?" He pretended to be serious. "If I can hire employees, I can fire pancakes." "But if you fire all the pancakes," Sophia joined in, "who's going to work in our stomachs?" "That's true," James agreed solemnly. "We'd have an internal hunger strike." The three of them laughed together, and James realized he hadn't felt this light in months. "You know what?" he said impulsively. "How about we have dinner together tonight, the three of us?" Sophia stopped stirring the pancake batter. "Sir James, I don't think that would be appropriate." "Please." Mia jumped down from her stool. "Please, Sophia, it'll be so much more fun." "Mia's right," James insisted. "Besides, after everything that happened today, I think I deserve dinner in good company." Sophia hesitated, clearly torn between propriety and her own desire to accept. "Well," she finally said, "if it's an official request from the boss, it's an order." "A very polite order," James teased, "but still an order." "Then I can't disobey," Sophia smiled. "But I'll do the cooking." "No way. Tonight, you're our guest." "James, I can't let you cook. You barely know how to make coffee." "Hey," he protested, "I do know how to make coffee. And, well, okay, maybe just coffee. See?" Sophia laughed. "If I don't cook, we'll end up having coffee with sugar for dinner." "That would be a very liquid dinner," Mia commented wisely. 2 hours later, the three of them were seated at the dining room table. Sophia had prepared a simple but delicious dinner: roasted chicken with vegetables and mashed potatoes. James had insisted on using the fine china and lighting candles, turning the meal into a special event. "This chicken is amazing," James said, savoring every bite. "Where did you learn to cook like this?" "From my grandmother," Sophia answered. "She used to say food only tastes good when you cook it with love." "Secret ingredient number 1. And what's secret ingredient number 2? Mia asked curiously. "Music," Sophia winked. "I always cook while singing. Food likes rhythm." "Really?" James raised an eyebrow, amused. Of course, Sophia pretended to be offended. "Haven't you ever noticed how vegetables turn softer when you sing to them while cooking?" "I can't say I've ever tried talking to vegetables," James admitted. "Oh, you're missing some great conversations," Sophia said solemnly. "Carrots are excellent listeners, but onions are far too dramatic. They always make everyone cry." Mia laughed so hard she almost spilled her juice. "Sophia, you're the funniest person in the world." "Thank you, princess. I practiced a lot to reach this level of culinary comedy." James watched Sophia talking to his daughter, noticing how she managed to make even the simplest situations feel special. The house was full of life, laughter, and warmth. He hadn't felt this sense of a complete home in months. His eyes lingered on Sophia's face as she told a funny story about a cake she had tried to bake as a child that had turned into an edible brick. She gestured animatedly, her eyes sparkling with joy, and he realized he couldn't stop looking at her. Sophia, noticing his gaze, stopped mid-sentence. "What is it?" she asked, brushing her cheek. "Do I have sauce on my face?" "No," James said softly. "It's just thank you." "For what?" "For making our house a home again." The silence that followed was filled with emotion. Sophia lowered her eyes, clearly moved by his words. Mia watched the two adults with the natural curiosity of a child. "You're looking at each other just like the couples in the movies," she said innocently. Sophia blushed bright red, and James cleared his throat nervously. "Mia, finish your dinner," he said, trying to change the subject. "But it's true," Mia insisted. "They always look like that right before they kiss." "Mia!" Sophia and James shouted together, making the little girl burst into laughter. At that exact moment, Cassandra stormed into the dining room like a whirlwind. "What a touching scene," she said sarcastically, looking at the table set with candles and the fine china. "James, I didn't know we had started dining with the help." The mood changed instantly. Sophia stood up from her chair. "I'll clear the plates," she said diplomatically. "Sit down," James said firmly. "You're our guest tonight." Cassandra laughed with disdain. "A guest, James? She's a maid. What's next? Are we going to invite the gardener for tea? If he's as good company as Sophia, why not?" James replied. "At least he'd know the difference between rose petals and poisonous thorns," Sophia answered, sitting back down. Cassandra narrowed her eyes. "Excuse me? Nothing important." Sophia smiled innocently. "I was just thinking about gardening. It's amazing how some plants look beautiful on the outside, but are actually toxic." James hid a laugh behind his napkin. "Sophia," Cassandra said dangerously, "are you implying something? Me? Never." Sophia put her hand on her chest dramatically. "I'm just a humble maid who knows nothing about complex botanical metaphors." "James," Cassandra turned to him, "are you going to allow her to talk to me like this?" "Sophia didn't say anything wrong," James answered calmly. "She was only making a comment about plants." "Exactly," Sophia agreed. "By the way, Cassandra, did you know there are carnivorous plants that look pretty but devour everything that comes near them? Fascinating, don't you think?" Mia giggled, fully understanding that Sophia was teasing Cassandra. "You," Cassandra began, her face turning red with anger. "Me? What?" Sophia feigned total confusion. "I'm being educational. Actually, maybe we should plant some of those carnivorous plants in the garden. They're excellent at eliminating unwanted pests." James couldn't hold back anymore and laughed openly. Cassandra grew even more furious. "This is outrageous, James. Either you put this woman in her place or what?" Sophia stood up, still smiling but with a sharper tone. "What will you do, Cassandra? Accuse me of breaking another vase, hide more documents, or maybe claim I'm an international spy disguised as a maid?" "Enough," Cassandra shouted. "I will not tolerate this anymore." "Perfect," Sophia said cheerfully, "because I also won't tolerate seeing you mistreat this wonderful child or disrespect this family." "This family?" Cassandra laughed bitterly. "You are not part of this family." Sophia looked at James, then at Mia, who had stood up and moved to her side. "You know, Cassandra," Sophia said calmly, "family isn't about blood or a marriage certificate. Family is about love, care, and protection. And by that definition, I feel much more a part of this family than you." The silence that followed was so heavy it could be cut with a knife. Cassandra was speechless. James watched Sophia with growing admiration, and Mia held Sophia's hand tightly. "Daddy," Mia finally said, "can Sophia always have dinner with us?" James looked at Sophia, then at his daughter, and finally at Cassandra. "Always," he answered. "Whenever she wants." The morning after the disastrous dinner, Sophia woke up earlier than usual. She hadn't slept well, replaying the events of the night before in her mind. The way James had defended her, how Mia had stood by her side, and most of all, the look James gave her when he said, "Always." She went down to the kitchen, still in her pajamas and robe, planning to prepare breakfast in peace before everyone else woke up. But as she passed James's office, she heard voices from inside. She found it strange, since it was only 6:30 the morning. She recognized Cassandra's voice, but there was another she couldn't identify. She cautiously approached the half-open door, not intending to spy, but worried that something might be wrong. "Margaret, you don't understand," Cassandra was saying on the phone. "The situation is getting out of my control." Sophia recognized the name. Margaret was the neighbor Cassandra had mentioned before. "No, it's not that simple," Cassandra continued. "James is starting to suspect me, and that maid is turning both him and the child against me." Sophia froze. She knew she should leave, but something in Cassandra's urgent tone made her stay. "You don't understand, Margaret. I can't lose James now. I've already invested 2 years in this relationship, and I'm just months away from getting what I want." There was a pause, and Sophia imagined Margaret was speaking on the other end of the line. "Of course, it's about the money." Cassandra laughed bitterly. "Do you think I'd put up with that spoiled child and that house full of memories of the dead wife for love? Please, Margaret, give me more credit." Sophia's eyes widened. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. The plan was simple. Marry him, wait about 5 years, ask for a divorce, and walk away with half the fortune. But now there's this Texan in the way. "I'm Texan, not Mexican." Sophia murmured involuntarily, then quickly covered her mouth. Shocked that she had spoken, "And James is getting closer and closer to her," Cassandra went on. "If I don't do something soon, I'll lose everything." Sophia felt sick. All that acting, all that cruelty with Mia. It was all part of a plan to steal from James. "I know I need to get rid of her, Margaret, and I have a few ideas about how to do it. If I can prove she's trying to seduce James to get his money, I can turn the tables." At that moment, Sophia heard footsteps on the stairs. Someone was coming down. She panicked, and without thinking, grabbed her phone and hit the record button, moving closer to the door. "James is so naive," Cassandra was saying. "He really believes I love him. If he knew I spend most of my time with him picturing numbers in my bank account, he'd be shocked." Sophia managed to record a few more seconds before hearing Mia's voice calling for her from upstairs. "Sophia, where are you?" Sophia quickly put the phone away and moved away from the door, hurrying toward the kitchen. Her heart was pounding so hard she was sure everyone in the house could hear it. "I'm here, Princess," she called back, trying to sound normal. Mia ran down the stairs in her unicorn pajamas. "Good morning, Sophia." She jumped into the maid's arms. "You woke up early today." "Good morning, my love." Sophia hugged her, still processing what she had just heard. "I thought I'd make special pancakes to start the day, right? Star-shaped ones?" "Star-shaped ones," Sophia confirmed. But her mind was far from pancakes. While preparing breakfast, Sophia couldn't stop thinking about the recording on her phone. She had solid evidence that Cassandra was using James, but how could she tell him without sounding like she was making things up for her own benefit? "Sophia," Mia tugged at her blouse. "Are you okay? You seem a little strange today." "I'm fine, Princess. Just thinking about new recipes. Pancake recipes." "Yes, pancake recipes," Sophia lied, stirring the batter automatically. James came down for breakfast a little later, already dressed for work. "Good morning, girls," he said, kissing Mia's forehead and smiling at Sophia. "How are you today?" "Fine," Sophia answered quickly, avoiding direct eye contact with him. "Breakfast is ready." James noticed something was off in Sophia's behavior, but didn't comment. During breakfast, Sophia could hardly eat. She kept watching James play with Mia, being so loving and attentive, and her chest tightened. Thinking of how devastated he would be when he found out the truth about Cassandra, Mia said suddenly, "Sophia recorded something on her phone this morning." Sophia almost choked on her juice. "Recorded?" James looked curious. "What did you record, Sophia?" It wasn't anything important," she stammered. "Just a recipe I heard on the radio." "Can I hear it?" Mia asked. "I love it when you explain recipes." "Mia, it's not interesting for children." Sophia tried to change the subject. "Please." Mia gave her cutest look. "Princess, let Sophia finish breakfast first." James intervened, noticing Sophia's discomfort. But Mia had already grabbed Sophia's phone from the table. "Mia, no." Sophia stood up quickly, but it was too late. The girl had pressed play on the last recorded file. Cassandra's voice echoed through the kitchen. "Of course. It's for the money. Do you think I would put up with that spoiled child and that house full of memories of his late wife for love?" James froze, his fork suspended in the air. Sophia quickly snatched the phone and stopped the recording, but the damage was done. What was that?" James asked slowly. "James, I can explain," Sophia began. "Desperate." "That was Cassandra talking," Mia said innocently. "She was talking about money." James looked at Sophia, then at Mia, then back at Sophia. "You recorded Cassandra talking about money?" Sophia let out a heavy sigh. There was no more hiding. "It wasn't on purpose. I came downstairs early and heard her talking on the phone. When I realized what the conversation was about, I recorded it because I thought you should know the truth." "What truth?" Sophia hesitated, glancing at Mia. "Princess, how about you go play in the garden for a little while? But I want to stay." "Mia, James said gently. Do what Sophia is asking. I'll come play with you in a moment. Mia left reluctantly. When they were alone, Sophia looked straight into James's eyes. James, Cassandra admitted on the phone that she doesn't love you. She said she's with you for your money and that she plans to marry you and then ask for a divorce to keep half your fortune. James stayed silent for a long moment, processing the information. Are you sure about what you heard? I have the recording, Sophia said sadly. I can show you if you want. But James, you need to know that I hesitated a lot before telling you this. I was afraid you'd think I made it up to benefit myself somehow. James slowly stood up from his chair. Sophia, can I listen to the full recording? Sophia nodded and handed him her phone. James put it on speaker, and together they listened to the entire conversation Sophia had managed to record. When it ended, James looked pale. 2 years, he whispered. 2 years pretending to love me. James, I'm so sorry. No, he cut her off. You did me a favor, a huge favor. If it weren't for you, I would have made the biggest mistake of my life. At that moment, they heard high heels coming down the stairs. Cassandra walked into the kitchen, perfectly dressed and smiling. Good morning, darling. She leaned in to kiss James, but he pulled back. Cassandra, we need to talk. Now. Of course. Love. About what? James glanced at Sophia, who gave him an encouraging nod, then turned back to Cassandra. About Margaret. About money. And about the truth. Cassandra's smile disappeared instantly, and Sophia knew the mask was finally about to fall. The silence after James's words was so heavy, Sophia could hear her own heartbeat. Cassandra stood frozen in the middle of the kitchen, her artificial smile still plastered on, but her eyes had lost all their shine. Margaret, she repeated as if she didn't understand. What? Margaret? Your friend Margaret, James said calmly, though Sophia noticed his hands trembling slightly. The one you were talking to on the phone an hour ago. James, dear, I think you're confused. Cassandra tried to laugh, but the sound came out forced. I didn't talk to Margaret today. You didn't? He picked up Sophia's phone from the table. Then this must be my imagination. Cassandra looked at the device, and Sophia saw the exact moment she realized she'd been caught. Her face went pale, then flushed red with anger. You recorded me? She turned to Sophia, fury in her eyes. You snake, you spied on me. Hey, calm down. Sophia stood up instinctively, placing herself between Cassandra and the doorway where Mia might appear. I didn't spy on anyone. You were shouting in the office at 6, 0 inches the morning. Lucky the neighbors didn't hear, too. James, Cassandra ignored Sophia and spoke directly to her fiancé. You can't believe this. This intruder, she's obviously trying to break us apart. Why would she? James asked with a calmness Sophia admired. What would Sophia gain by breaking us apart? Oh, it's obvious. Cassandra gestured dramatically. She wants to take my place. She wants you and your money. Sophia couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. Really? That's your defense? Accusing me of exactly what you just admitted you're doing? I never admitted anything. Cassandra, Sophia said in a patient tone, you literally said on the phone that you're with James for the money. That's not a poetic interpretation. That's a direct quote. James, are you really going to believe her word over mine? James looked at Cassandra for a long moment before answering. Actually, Cassandra, it's not just her word. I've been noticing inconsistencies in your behavior for a while. What inconsistencies? James walked over to the kitchen drawer and pulled out a piece of paper. Sophia recognized it immediately. It was the drawing Mia had made, showing Cassandra yelling at her. This drawing, for example, Mia drew you yelling at her, but you swore you never raised your voice at my daughter. Cassandra glanced at the paper and forced a laugh. James, it's just a child's drawing. She has Down syndrome. You can't take that seriously. Sophia felt a wave of anger wash over her. Oh, so now you're going to use Mia's condition against her? Sophia crossed her arms. How convenient. When it suits you, she's a normal child who needs discipline. When it doesn't, she's a special child who doesn't know what she's saying. I didn't say that. Yes, you did. James stepped in, his voice growing harder. And that's another inconsistency. Sometimes you treat Mia as if she's just like any other child. And sometimes you use her condition as an excuse. At that moment, Mia appeared in the kitchen doorway, clearly drawn by the raised voices. Why are you yelling? Sophia immediately went to the little girl and picked her up, moving her away from the center of the argument. We're just talking, princess. Nothing serious. But Cassandra looks angry. Mia said with the honesty only children have. Cassandra looked at the girl in Sophia's arms, and something in her expression changed. It was as if all her frustration had suddenly found a target. "You know what, Mia?" she said with poisonous sweetness. "Maybe this really is your fault. If you were a normal child, none of this would be happening." The silence that followed was absolute. Sophia felt Mia stiffen in her arms, and James turned so pale she feared he might faint. "How dare you?" James exploded, jumping to his feet. "How dare you speak to my daughter like that?" "James, I was just what?" he kept shouting. "Blaming a 5-year-old child for your own crimes." Sophia took advantage of the attention focused on the fight to leave the kitchen with Mia and take her to the living room, away from the confrontation. "Sophia," Mia whispered, "did I do something wrong?" "No, my love, you did nothing wrong. Never." Sophia hugged her tightly. "You're perfect just the way you are." From the kitchen, the raised voices still carried. "Cassandra, you just showed who you really are." James's voice was heavy with disappointment. "Blaming an innocent child for your own problems is the most cowardly thing I've ever witnessed." "James, please. You're overreacting." "Overreacting?" Sophia heard footsteps pacing in the kitchen. "Cassandra, you lied about loving my daughter. You lied about loving me. You set Sophia up to look guilty. And now you're blaming Mia for all of this. Which part of that am I overreacting to?" Sophia heard Cassandra begin to cry, but they were clearly fake tears. "James, please, we can talk about this. I can explain." "Explain what?" His voice was calmer now, but coldly controlled. "How you plan to use me for the next few years. How you were going to pretend to love my special daughter until you got half of my fortune." Sophia couldn't resist and moved closer to the kitchen door, still holding Mia, who seemed fascinated by the argument. "James, you don't understand the pressure I was under." Cassandra tried to sound vulnerable. "Margaret gave me terrible advice. She influenced me." "Oh, so now it's Margaret's fault." Sophia couldn't hold back and appeared in the doorway. "Yesterday it was my fault. Today it's Mia's fault. Now it's Margaret's fault. You really have an impressive talent for finding scapegoats." "Sophia, stay out of this." "I will not." Sophia adjusted Mia in her arms. "Especially when you attack a defenseless child. By the way, Cassandra, careful. Your makeup is melting before your mask falls off." And it was true. With all the tension and the fake tears, Cassandra's makeup was smudging, revealing a bitter and cruel expression she usually hid. "Well, James," Cassandra made one last attempt. 2 years together. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" "Of course it does," James replied. "It means 2 years of my life wasted on someone who completely deceived me, and you're throwing it all away because of a Texan maid." First of all, Sophia cut in cheerfully, "I'm Texan, not Mexican. Second, even if I were, what would be the problem? And third, he's not throwing anything away. He's taking out the trash." Mia let out a little giggle in Sophia's arms, which made Cassandra even angrier. "Even the child is laughing at me." "The child has a name," James said coldly, "and she's laughing because Sophia makes her happy. Something you are never able to do." Cassandra looked around the kitchen as if searching for something to break or throw, but James anticipated her reaction. "Cassandra, I want you out of my house. Now." "What?" "You heard me? Pack your things and leave today." "James, you can't be serious." "I've never been more serious in my life." He crossed his arms. "And before you ask, no, we're not taking a break to think things over. We're not talking again once things calm down. It's over, Cassandra. Forever." Sophia watched the scene with a mix of satisfaction and pity. Satisfaction at seeing the truth finally come out and pity for James having to go through that kind of disappointment. "You'll regret this, James Thompson," Cassandra said with venom in her voice, "when you find out who this Texan really is." "Texan." Sophia and Mia shouted together, making James smile for the first time that morning. "When you find out," Cassandra went on, ignoring the interruption, "you'll beg me to come back." "I doubt that very much," Sophia commented, "but if it does happen, you can be sure I'll record it too. For educational purposes, of course." James couldn't hold back the laugh that escaped, and that seemed to be the last straw for Cassandra. "You'll all regret this," she shouted, storming out of the kitchen. Half an hour later, they heard the front door slam, followed by the sound of a car speeding out of the garage. James sank heavily into a kitchen chair, running his hands over his face. "It's over," he said simply. Sophia came closer, still holding Mia in her arms. "How are you feeling?" "Relieved," he admitted. "Very relieved and very grateful." "Daddy?" Mia asked shyly. "Did the wicked witch go away forever?" James smiled and opened his arms to his daughter. Yes, princess, forever. Yay. Mia jumped from Sophia's lap into her father's arms. Now we can be happy. Sophia watched father and daughter hug, and her heart warmed. At last, that house could become the happy home James and Mia deserved. In the weeks that followed Cassandra's departure, the Thompson mansion slowly turned into a real home. Laughter echoed through the halls. The smell of pancakes filled the kitchen every morning, and for the first time in months, James found himself smiling for no reason. Sophia had moved into a larger room on the main floor at Mia's insistent request, who argued that the new mommy of the heart needed to be close to them. James not only agreed but insisted she decorate the room however she liked. Sophia. James appeared at her bedroom door one Friday afternoon. May I talk to you? Of course, she said, closing the book she was reading. Did something happen? James stepped inside and sat in the armchair by the window, looking nervous. Actually, I wanted well. I needed to talk to you about a few things. Sensing the seriousness in his tone, Sophia sat on the edge of the bed, giving him her full attention. I never really told you about Emily, my wife. James, you don't have to. Yes, I do, he interrupted gently. You deserve to know. Emily died 2 years ago. Cancer. It was very quick. One day, she was fine. 3 months later, she was gone. Sophia felt her chest tighten. I'm so sorry. The worst part is, I didn't know how to deal with the pain. I buried myself in work and practically abandoned Mia emotionally. She was left with nannies, then with Cassandra, and I hid from my own daughter because she reminded me too much of Emily. James stopped, his voice breaking. When you came and I saw how Mia blossomed with you, I realized how badly I had failed as a father. You gave her something I couldn't. Attention, affection, presence. James, please, let me finish. He gave a sad smile. I owe you much more than an apology. I owe you eternal gratitude for giving my daughter her happiness back. And me too. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. You don't owe me anything. Mia is a wonderful child. Anyone would fall in love with her, but not just anyone would stay. Not just anyone would stand up to Cassandra, protect Mia, and still manage to bring this house back to life. Before Sophia could answer, Mia burst into the room like a whirlwind. Sophia, Daddy, come see. She tugged them both by the hand. I made a surprise. They followed her to the living room, where Mia had set up a picnic on the floor with sheets, pillows, and a simple snack of cookies and juice. Mia, this is beautiful, Sophia exclaimed. It's a family picnic, Mia announced proudly, to celebrate that the Wicked Witch is gone and now it's just the three of us. James and Sophia looked at each other, smiling. What a wonderful idea, Princess, James said, sitting down on the floor. But why a picnic indoors? Because that way you two sit closer together, Mia answered with a child's innocence, literally pushing Sophia nearer to James. Mia. Sophia laughed, embarrassed. What? Mia pretended total innocence. The sheet is small, you have to sit close, or you'll fall off. James laughed out loud. Her logic is flawless. Very flawless, Sophia agreed, trying to ignore how her heart sped up when James sat beside her. During the picnic, Mia kept up a lively conversation about her drawings, her dolls, and the new tricks she had taught the little fish in the aquarium. But Sophia noticed the girl also took every chance to push one adult closer to the other. Sophia, can you grab the juice that's next to Daddy? Mia asked. Even though it was clearly closer to herself. Daddy, Sophia is cold. Can you share your pillow with her? She suggested, even though the air conditioner wasn't even on. Sophia, Daddy is sad. Can you give him a hug? She said, making James laugh. I'm not sad, Princess. Yes, you are. I can see it in your eyes, Mia insisted seriously. Mommy used to say that hugs heal sadness in the eyes. Sophia and James looked at each other again, both touched by the child's wisdom. Your mother was very wise, Sophia said softly. She also said that when Daddy found a new mommy for me, I would feel it in my heart. Mia looked straight at them. And I know. The silence that followed was full of emotion. Mia, James began. Sophia is my new mommy, Mia declared simply. From the heart, she's different from Mommy who is in heaven. But she's a mommy too. Sophia couldn't hold back the tears that started rolling down her face. Oh, sweetheart, it's true. Mia threw herself into Sophia's arms. You take care of me, play with me, protect me from the Wicked Witch, and make flying pancakes. If that's not what a mommy does, I don't know what is. James watched the scene with his heart overflowing with feelings he couldn't even name. "Mia's right," he said softly. "You're more of a mother to her than many people who have the official title." Sophia hugged Mia tightly, then raised her eyes to James. "Thank you for letting me be part of your family." Mia pulled back and looked at her seriously. "Can you call Daddy James, my love, like people do in the movies?" Mia. Sophia and James shouted at the same time, making the little girl burst out laughing. It was just a question. She defended herself between giggles. In the days that followed, Mia doubled down on her self-proclaimed mission as a matchmaker. She began to find ways to leave Sophia and James alone in romantic situations, made up excuses for them to hold hands, and made comments that left the two adults blushing. "Sophia, did you know Daddy said you're beautiful when he thinks I'm not listening?" She announced during breakfast on a Tuesday. "Mia." James almost choked on his coffee. "He did say it. And he also said you make the best chocolate truffles in the world," she went on cheerfully. "Because they really are the best, James." Sophia defended herself, avoiding his eyes. "And you, Sophia, you said Daddy has a nice smile when he's really happy." Mia turned to her. Well," Sophia stammered. "And that he looks even nicer when he plays with me in the garden," Mia added, satisfied that she had embarrassed them both. "Mia, you shouldn't repeat adults' conversations." Sophia tried to sound strict, but she was laughing. "Why not? You say nice things about each other. You should say them out loud, too." James looked at Sophia and smiled. "You know, she has a point." "She does." Sophia raised an eyebrow. "She does. You really do make the best truffles in the world, and the best pancakes. And you have the most beautiful smile I've ever seen." Sophia felt her face warm up. "James, and you," she said, gaining courage. "You're right about my smile. It only really looks nice when I'm with the two of you." Mia watched the scene with her eyes shining with satisfaction. "Are you going to kiss now?" she asked directly. "Mia!" they both shouted again, but this time they were laughing too. "It was just a scientific question," she protested. "In movies, they always kiss after saying such nice things." James looked at Sophia, who was trying to hide her laughter behind her hand. "You know, she's not wrong about the movies," he said softly. "She's not," Sophia agreed, her heart racing. They leaned in slowly, aware that Mia was watching them like a film critic. When their lips finally met, it was a gentle kiss, full of promises and feelings kept for too long. "Yay!" Mia shouted, clapping her hands. "Finally! Now, are you official boyfriend and girlfriend?" James and Sophia pulled apart, laughing. "Mia," James said, still holding Sophia's hand, "would you like it if I asked Sophia to be my girlfriend? I'd love it." She jumped out of her chair. "Sophia, will you be my daddy's girlfriend? He's really nice and makes great coffee." Sophia looked at James, then at Mia, and felt her heart was complete. "Yes, I will," she said simply. "Really?" James asked, needing to be sure. "Yes, I'll be your girlfriend. I'll be part of this crazy family. And I'll be Mia's mommy from the heart forever." "Hooray!" Mia cried, running to hug them both. "Now we're a real family." And as the three of them embraced in the sunlit kitchen that Tuesday morning, Sophia knew she had finally found her place in the world. 6 months after officially becoming a couple, life at the Thompson mansion had settled into a happy and chaotic routine. Sophia had learned that James left socks scattered around the bedroom, that he sang 80-second songs in the shower, and that he had the peculiar habit of making funny faces at Mia during breakfast. James, in turn, discovered that Sophia talked to herself while cooking, that she was afraid of small spiders but faced big problems without hesitation, and that she could make Mia laugh even on the hardest days. On a particularly sunny Saturday afternoon, James invited Sophia and Mia for a special outing to the park, where they had shared their first happy day together as a family. "Why are you so nervous, Daddy?" Mia asked in the car, watching as James checked the rearview mirror for the 10th time. "You look just like when Sophia had to take her driving test." "Hey!" Sophia protested from the front seat. "I drive very well, thank you. I'm just cautious." "Mommy Sophia, yesterday you stopped at a green light because you thought it was too green to be real," Mia replied with the relentless logic. "Only children have. That was extra precaution." Sophia defended herself, making James laugh despite his nerves. At the park, James suggested a walk to the lake. Mia ran ahead as she always did, stopping to examine every flower, rock, or little bird she came across along the way. "James," Sophia said, noticing how nervous he still was, "is everything all right? You've been acting strange since yesterday." "Have I?" He tried to sound casual, but his hands were clearly sweaty. "Yes, you have. You look like you hit a body, and you're afraid I'll find out," she teased. "Well, not exactly a body," he muttered. "What? Nothing? Nothing. Look." Mia found ducks. Indeed, Mia was crouched by the lake, chatting happily with a group of ducks as if they were old friends. "Mommy Sophia, Daddy," she waved. "The ducks want to know if you brought bread." "We sure did, Princess," James called back, pulling a bag of crumbs from his backpack. While Mia had fun feeding the ducks and telling them stories, James took a deep breath and turned to Sophia. "Sophia, can I ask you something?" "Of course, you can ask as many things as you want. Are you happy here with us?" Sophia looked at him, surprised. "Of course I'm happy. Why would you ask that? It's just that, well," James stammered, then took another deep breath. "Sophia, these last few months have been the happiest of my life since Emily died. You turned our house into a home. You made Maya smile every single day, and you made me realize I could love again." Sophia felt her heart race. "James, let me finish, please." He smiled nervously. "I know I'm not the most romantic man in the world. I know I have flaws. I know I work too much sometimes and forget to put away my socks." "You forget to put away your socks all the time," Sophia interrupted, smiling. "All the time," he agreed, laughing. "But I love you. I love how you take care of Mia. I love how you make flying pancakes. I love how you face awful people with humor and courage, and I would really love." He knelt down on the grass, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. "Sophia Ramirez, would you be my wife?" Sophia covered her mouth with her hands, her eyes filling with tears. "James! Yay! Yes!" Mia's shout echoed through the park. "Daddy just asked Mommy Sophia to marry him." The little girl ran toward them, scaring the ducks, who flew off in every direction. "Sorry," she panted when she reached them. "But I couldn't miss this part. It's the best part in the movies." Sophia was laughing and crying at the same time. "James Thompson," she said, holding out her hand, "I accept. I'll marry you, and I officially accept being Mia's mom forever." "Hooray!" Mia shouted so loudly that several people in the park turned to see what was happening. "Now we can have a big party with cake and everything." James slipped the ring onto Sophia's finger and stood to kiss her. But Mia jumped between them for a group hug. "Sorry to interrupt," she said without looking the least bit sorry. "But I helped plan this surprise, and I want my hug too." 3 months later, on a golden spring morning, the small local church was decorated with simple flowers and filled with people who truly mattered. There weren't hundreds of guests, just close friends, a few of James's co-workers, and the small family Sophia had built over the years. Sophia wore a simple but elegant dress, holding a bouquet of daisies, Mia's favorite flowers. James waited for her at the altar, more handsome than she had ever seen him, with a smile that lit up his whole face. But the absolute star of the ceremony was Mia, who carried the rings on a small satin pillow, walking down the aisle with the seriousness of someone holding the most precious treasure in the world. "Careful not to drop it," she whispered to herself, focused on her mission. "Careful not to drop it." When she reached the altar, she handed the rings to the pastor and then turned to the crowd. "They're getting married now," she announced proudly. "And then we'll have cake." Laughter echoed through the church, and Sophia felt her heart could burst with happiness. During the vows, James promised to love Sophia and Mia forever, to protect his family, and to try to remember to put his socks in the right place. Sophia promised to make heart-shaped pancakes for the rest of her life, to protect her new family with humor and courage, and to love unconditionally both the man and the little girl who had completely changed her life. When the pastor declared them husband and wife, Mia shouted, "Now you can kiss," before he even finished the sentence, causing another wave of laughter. At the simple garden reception that followed at the mansion, Mia went from table to table, telling everyone she met that she now had an official mom and that they were the happiest family in the world. During the wedding waltz, Sophia whispered in James's ear, "Thank you for letting me be part of your story." "Thank you for making our story worth living," he answered, twirling her gently. "Daddy, Mommy." Mia appeared beside them, tugging on their clothes. "Can I dance too?" James picked her up, and the three of them danced together in the flowered garden, under the blue sky of a perfect afternoon. Later, when the guests had already gone and Mia was sleeping soundly in her room, Sophia and James sat on the porch, watching the stars. "You know," Sophia said, resting her head on his shoulder, When I first started working here, I never imagined I'd find a family. I never imagined that a stubborn Texan housekeeper would win both my heart and Mia's in just a few weeks." James laughed, kissing the top of her head. "Stubborn?" Sophia pretended to be offended. "I prefer the term persistently charming." "Persistently charming," he agreed, "and thank you for being exactly that." Sophia looked toward Mia's bedroom window, where a small nightlight cast soft shadows on the wall. "Do you think Emily would approve?" she asked gently. James was silent for a moment, then smiled. "I'm sure she would. Emily always wanted Mia to be loved and protected, and you do both better than anyone I could ever imagine." They stayed there, wrapped in each other's arms under the stars, knowing they had found something many people spend a lifetime searching for. A true home, built not with blood or duty, but with genuine love, shared laughter, and the certainty that they would always be there for one another,